Welcome back to story time. So, I actually want to talk about that level of energy that I felt rushing through me for like an hour in that last video because I said I couldn't think of a time where I was angry like that before, okay? I mean afterwards. But I do remember feeling that level of energy, not because I was angry, but there was a situation. This is another story. My daughter went to spend the weekend or night by our cousin, and my cousin has had kids around my daughter's age, and one of her sons, he was I don't know exactly what the challenge was, but she didn't treat him as, I guess, kind, or however you want to say it, as the other kids. So there would be a lot of things that you would say to him that weren't nice. And even though he was young, he would he would say things that were not good. Like he would say he was going to kill the whole family, and things like that. Things that would be very concerning. And my cousin would just dismiss it as that's just him talking. And we had, different family members at different times raise raise questions about that, or I think try to approach her about it, but nothing was shifting. My daughter hadn't been there in a while, but she went, and when she came back, I remember I was at the library, and her cousin, who was just about a year younger than her, brought her back. And she told me, my daughter said, "Mommy, can you come outside, because we want to tell you something." And so I said, "Okay." And I went out, and so what they relayed to me was, well, my daughter told me that the day prior, my cousin had gotten very angry at her son, and she saw her just like yelling and telling him off, that type of thing. And then she just, well, how did she describe it? She said when he left her presence, then she was like, she bent over, and then she was like, whew, okay, all right, now, you know, on to the next thing. And my daughter found that to be quite quite strange, given all the things that she said to him. And after that, he was saying things like, like threatening to kill family and do harm to different people in the family and things like that while they're watching TV. And he's saying it in a joking manner. His sister, who brought my daughter back home, she tried to say something to her mom, and her mom just like brushed her off. She's like, "Oh, he's just playing, he's just joking." But that night, my daughter had I think she had a dream that he actually had done something, like he had harmed, or he was coming to harm everybody. He was coming to kill everybody in there. And I think it literally, I don't know if I can't remember exactly if it woke her up or what, but when she got up, she said something to my little cousin that brought her back. And she also had a similar type of experience. And so they were coming to talk to me because they couldn't talk to their mom. And they're like, "Please, like, we have to get help for him, because I think," the sister was saying, "I think he may actually act on the things that he's saying, because he says it too much. My mom is not taking that thing seriously." And but something needs to be done. So they're asking me to help. And so I said, "Okay, I don't know what to do." I called my older cousin, and she said, "Listen, I have too many things going on. I've tried to talk to her on multiple occasions. She doesn't want to listen." She's like, I can't do it. I can't even take him. I would take him if I could. I don't have space to take him." Um, She said, I just can't. I've tried to talk to her on too many occasions. So I called my cousin's mom, and I talked to her about, about her grandson and the things that she's saying. And she's expressing the same concerns that the grandson may actually act on the things that he's saying, and that her daughter is not really taking it serious. So I'm calling her because I'm trying to figure out, like, well, what can we do? And she's like, well, she doesn't listen to anyone. And so I said, well, what do you think, like, if the authorities talk to her, she will listen to them? And she said, I don't know. I've had pastors talk to her, or, tried to tell her to do this or whatever. She won't listen. So then all of a sudden, talking about overshadowing, all of a sudden, the grandmother changes her tune and starts to tell me, don't you dare call the authorities. And I'm like, hold up, honey, if I was going to call the authorities, I would have called them. I called you. But it's like she flipped. She flipped on me. I never talked about me calling the authorities on her. I just simply asked her, would that get her attention? And then she started to think about all the things that my cousin actually does for her because she wasn't too well. And she began to get scared. So when she started to talk to me like that, I just, I got off the phone. I wasn't calling anybody. I called family because these kids came to me and they were concerned. My daughter didn't sleep well that night because she thought her little cousin was going to get up and do something horrible. And so I remember, like, maybe a week or so later, I get a call from I don't know I think it's from my mom, my mom, and she's saying that she got a call from my aunt saying that they think because of the problems that she and I had growing up, that I'm projecting these things onto my cousin and her son, and like, I'm threatening to call Child Protective Services and all of that. Now, what my daughter and my little cousin told me, they told me in confidence because they didn't want the mom, the daughter didn't want her mom to get upset. So I'm listening to my mom, but I can't tell her because they told me in confidence, what was happening. So I just listened to her. But then my sister calls, and now my sister is telling me, and again, I can't even tell her because they didn't want my cousin to find out because they didn't want my cousin to retaliate against them. So my sister calls me and she's like, you don't have any, she didn't ask me what the situation was. You don't have any business doing this. You don't have any business doing that. And now I understand I'm protecting a child and children. My child and my young cousin came to me because they were absolutely scared for their lives. They literally were scared for their lives. But I'm not able to say this to my sister. And so she's talking to me, and she's like, she's seeing like I'm not budging. I'm just listening to her, but I'm not telling her anything. And she's like, you have no business doing this. You have no business doing that. And you're disgusting. You're just like her. You don't listen. And I remember just having that interaction with her, and the anger, yeah, it was anger that was rising in me, but it wasn't the anger like like when I was cussing, like cussing at my husband like that. It wasn't that, but I could feel that energy rising up. And I knew this is like, I'm what they don't even know what the story is. And the reason why I was doing what I was doing was to protect all of them, including my little cousin, who was saying all the things that he was saying. Because what I ended up doing was I said, okay, I said, listen, if it's this bad and you're concerned for your lives and you're serious enough to come and tell me, then I'm not going to call. let me tell your mom. It's like, no, no, you can't tell her. Okay, well, at least let me talk to the little cousin. I will talk to him and let's see what he says. And when I spoke to him, he didn't want to go anywhere. He understood what I was saying, and it was interesting because he actually saw himself as his mom's protector. And so I never called anyone. I never called anyone, but my cousin, um, you know, had like real bad feelings towards me because I couldn't tell her. I gave, they're all adults now, so it doesn't matter, but I couldn't tell her at the time because they were scared of her reaction. But I felt that surge, that same kind of surge of power. I remember when I got off the phone with my sister, I was like, wow, I was so exhausted. I sat there for about 15, 20 minutes, unable to move. So talking about the overshadowing, I guess I would say it was coming through my sister because she never stopped to ask what the situation was. She just took what was said and then just kept coming, and I didn't have any defenses up. And so it reminded me, be mindful of who I'm talking to, and don't just walk, like I said, know the arena that you're playing in. Don't just walk into a situation arms heart wide open, just taking darts. Um, yeah, so that was, it just came to me to share that story. And I saw, but the other thing I saw was um how strong, I didn't know how strong I could be in the defense of the children. And I saw that I was like steel. So I understood when she said, oh, she said, you're disgusting, you're just like her, you don't listen. She didn't she didn't understand why I wasn't responding in a certain way to her. I was protecting my, not my daughter so much. It wasn't so much her, it was my cousin's daughter, because she didn't want the mom to retaliate, against them. So I took the heat. I took the heat for that. But when my sister saw, what she felt was me not listening, I never knew I could stand up so strong, and take that kind of fire. So just wanted to share that, and we'll continue in the next video.